And welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing live show number 558. I'm your host, Lauren Gray. Thank you so much for joining us. Just watching all of the sending data streaming connections going up to all of our multiple simulcasting platforms for all of our corporate relationships, our association relationships, and everybody else that's kind enough to broadcast our show weekly on their own pages and channels on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. We do it, and LinkedIn is on mine because they only allow one broadcast. But then for most of it and all of it, out of 209 countries, we broadcast on the Hospitality TV channel. And we also simulcast on our hospitality radio station, which is digitally broadcasted on radio stations around the world in 39 countries. So we got a pretty good gambit going on. Lots of you around the world watch us live. More of you watch on the recast that we do 11:30 a.m. Wednesday mornings, both Sydney, Australian time, and London for EU time. Also covers our Middle East friends at the same time. So we try to make it convenient to that, but I am very impressed with everyone that watches us at very odd local hours for them, but catches us on our live show. So for all of that, thank you so very much. So show number 558, deeper into April, start of second quarter, past spring break, past Easter, new realities of the impact of the geopolitical world, what have you, gas prices and such, making an impact in a variety of ways. Ironically, that is not our lead topic. Our topic for today is I wouldn't say slight variation. It is a continuation of a conversation we had in show 556, where we talked about how underperforming ads actually can be helpful to you because they allow you to understand a yieldability, that the top 6% producing that takes the lion's share, which you dedicate most of your, if not almost all of your finances towards in budgeting, that there are a lot of other ad campaigns that can be revealing, but also supportive and profitable and productive. They're below a KPI line, but they're still very good for you. And we went through all that staging process as to how to define them, where to draw your lines to, how to expand and use them, and so forth. And we alluded to today's show as an expansion conversation of having the diversification of ads, because we talked about how just focusing only on your high producing ads, although that's good, that's what you want to do, and you do when you create ad campaigns, create diversification to begin to discover where the best producing ads are and shift funding towards them so that they can yield to their maximum capability until they threshold. There's all these other ads, the lion's share of ads that have a good production, but they're just not as good as the best production. And we talked about how having a diversification of ads has other values to it. And that's what today's show is about, using diversified ad campaigns to train AI about your product. And I refer to AI in particular because the older logic, the OG logic associated with diversified ads was one of two things. One, and first and foremost, was on any initiation of an ad campaign, especially a new ad campaign or a new initiative, you created a very large, wide-spreading variations to ads. And I say ads being, yes, variations of ad types, but also variations of ad targeting. So say, for instance, you had not to say generic, but for lack of a better way of saying, standard text ad. You would have a set of filters targeting for it, audience designations, demographic interests, behavioral interests, timestamping, geographies, whatever, and it would go out, or you'd set it up. But you would take the same ad and modify some of the variables that you had on the first ad group to see if that combination could be improved upon with other variation combinations. Now, you could paint yourself in a corner with variations on top of variations on top of variations, especially doing multivariate variations, a lot of variations. But you confine it to the most optimistic values that you have. A dear friend of mine, Aaron Bennett, cleared up with me that, yes, we could use a tremendous amount of data sets in our filtering process on ad campaigns to the point of paralysis, where if you don't scale, force rank the variations that you're creating as to how much value one has over another, and you create an equality between all these variations, you create a paralysis of having too many data sets to not really know which one is the most useful, and by using all of them, none of them are. So you have to be very careful that the paralysis of choice is very real, and that it can create a stagnation into your ad opportunities because you try to throw in the kitchen sink of variables. And simple examples of that is, that weather is a strong variant of data when it comes to early November for northern campaigns, southern campaigns in domesticated states, same too in Europe and other places where there's seasonal change. You also know that if there's event-driven things, that there's a geographic focus to them as well, depending upon the broad interest that the event has. You have other things that are more destination bound, that are very strong core tourism, such as New York is a good example, or Las Vegas, where international travel has an inclusive value to them that you want to have from feeder markets that have the right strata of criteria, income levels, transportation availability, so forth, to include in your targeting. So you see how there's all of these to use at any one time, but if you use them in the best way for the value that they represent for the campaigns you're creating, you get the value of the data that you're providing from them. So with that, you start your ad campaign variations. Now, quickly on, depending upon how much budget you have and your threshold for paying, which is your CPC costs and your KPI conversion values of all of this, you quickly begin to cull down your ad groups that are not performing as good as other ad groups. It's literally a shell game, like a card trick, where you take away the extra cards and keep the cards that you are wanting to use. Same too with the ads. The ones that are not performing as better as others, the first choice is the ones that are performing better than the others. The others get paused and put off to the side. The ones that are producing well continue on. And then next generation review, the ones in that set now also divide. And there's some that are performing better than others. And you cull those away, pause those ones. That's usually the process of discovery of ad placement. And that gives you a sense of, we had all these choices, we had all these variations we created for the markets that we're sending them to, but we also had ad variations. So we might have the same filters, different ads. So we have this filter 1 coming out, and there's ad 1 and ad variant 2. And both those ads play in the same set, and realize that one ad is better performing than the other for the function that's going on there. Maybe both of them don't play well. Maybe both of them play really well. And then you compare that to the other ad set that has a different filtering system. Same ads, same variants, different filters. And that's how you begin to separate the chaff from the wheat, so to speak. So that has always been a traditional ad campaign function. And of course, generationally, as you have done it one time for a particular instance, and next year you look back at the performance metrics of what did and didn't work, which ones may potentially still have some residual value, but they weren't the real showstoppers when it came to production. And you might try to create other variations, like, why did those work? And you might dig into those ad campaigns and see, well, our geography was off. Our demographic filtering was good, but our geography was off. Let's take the same thing and maybe change the geography to something that we know better this year than we do when we did it last year. And this is how you bring in and cycle to ads going into a repetitive campaign. These are all traditional ad campaign conversations. These are all things that bread and butter for ad campaign creation, development, functionality, repeatability, performance metrics. This is what your ad manager should be doing and has done. That's not all of today's conversation. The diversification of the ad campaigns just described for the purpose we just described it for is a start point. Interject now the changes in our marketing tools, and the usage of people that we're marketing to, and their usage of AI and long language models and agentics and agents in their process of discovery. And what you quickly find is that the AI will give answers based on the long language model, will give answers on what data is available that is relevant to the query that it's pursuing an answer for. So if I have a lot of ads, a lot of ad variations that are speaking to the same topic or the same purpose, selling rooms for a particular date range, or selling our rooms for a particular event, or for our destination and value, being in the destination, not of interest, and so forth, then The more the AI learns about us, just like SEO, traditional, fundamental, like brick and mortar, bread and butter, block and chain, all those analogies, fundamental SEO, the content of your ads and what your ads are saying about the events that you're selling or the dates you're selling is all usable data for long language models to learn from, just as well as the content that supports your ads. Now, this goes back to a very, very fundamental discussion as to ads and their correlation and their directly tethered value to content specific to the ad. This goes to building block 101 for ad campaign creation. It should almost be like the commandments on thou shalt not build an ad that does not go to a designated landing page. Now, sloppy and lazy is what you mostly find. And we've complained about this many times. Agencies, internal teams, whatever, get lazy and they make an ad, flash bang, buy now, do this, and be aware of this, whatever the message is, call to action is. And then they lazily just send it to your book engine. Now, some book engines have a more robust explanation of what the special offer is, if it's a special offer that you're pushing. More often than not, though, it will go to a page that will be fed into your booking engine that will be based upon what your revenue manager chooses as to most expensive to least expensive, most affordable to least affordable, what's the best package offers, or just package offers first. And sometimes, depending upon the multiplicity of those, it turns into a paralysis of choice in its own right, where you're giving too many options. Which is the best one for me? I don't know which. It sounds so confusing. I've lost interest. I go away. And that's the lazy ad combination. Make an ad, just go to the book engine. Now, better ones will have pages made related to the ad. So if it's an event-driven promotion, then the ad, even with the call to action is there, brings you to the landing page in your website that is related to the context of the ad. Remember, the ad is just the call to action. The content of the landing page is the conversion message. And in that page, you have much more robust content that is just specifically related to that ad. What the ad said about why you're interested and why you hit the button to say, yes, I want to know more, or what are you talking about? It goes to a page that literally does that. This is the more information. This is the detail to what we're offering. These are the specifics of the offer that we've pitched to you that you come to see what exactly that means. That's a mandate that has to happen with all ads. Sending it to your book engine just for the booking code to go over and book it direct, sloppy. Now, I say that with the caveat being that in some platforms, the quick call to action, last remaining rooms for some XYZ concert, click now to find out availability, that should, in fact, go to your booking engine directly and be very specific about exactly that promotion and that offer being the landing page for it, so that there is no confusion of having to rediscover why you went and followed the link, and the link brings you to a page that has multiple offers, multiple things, and you're looking for the one thing that brought you there and you can't find it. It should go directly to what it is that you're trying to convert from. Those are different time-sensitive ads. That's a different cycle of ad promotion when you're creating that here now experience. You do that for your same day bookings and so forth. Those are the here now stuff. There's not the whole I got to explain the world to you. It's more like I just got to give you to the place that you need to actually make the conversion on. But we're talking about the ads that are the startup, the bread and butter, the progressive workflow, cumulative communication ads that go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 until finally a conversion is reached. All should have a landing page that it uses in the action of the ads. So when I say that you diversify your ads, the content associated with the ad already is going to get discovered on purpose because you're going to make it discoverable for AI to discover and learn more about why your value proposition is related to this event or these dates or what have you. The ads themselves, though, have their own language. Each of the ads also has content in them because each of your ads are pointing to a certain feature or value or targeted messages to the audiences that you built them for, so that you can be better calling them to action to go to the landing page that will hopefully convert them for the purchase that you are trying to create them as being equal for. So I give you some examples of this. Let's say there's a geographic regionality to your ads for an event for certain dates for your destination. In the context of the ads that are farther away that require airlift, you might include that the airfares from that market are at a good low point for people to fly to you to stay with you for the event that they're obviously interested in, which is why they're seeing your ad because that's what you targeted it for. The ad message for those that might be in the drive radius that you're making the same advertisement for, that ad might talk more about the value proposition of lowering of gas prices and or ease of getting there, or that you have a big parking lot, or you have a park and stay combination thing. I'm making up a bunch of variations to what the event might be. Or that there's a shuttle service as soon as they enlist, they don't have to worry about their car parking anymore, whatever. But the content of those ads is also learnable content for long language models. They can see what you're offering and what you're referring to of your offer as much as they can see the content about what the offer is about from your website to have a broader perspective of how relevant your content is for their users' inquiry about things that you are now related to. So the more diversification of ads you have, other than having the original value we just mentioned of, culling and defining which are higher performers versus others and so forth, and referring to show 556 where we're talking about that you should also optimize lower converting ads that can still give sustain the income, the money that they're creating for. It's also to enhance AI's knowledge of you. Most people don't realize, and if they do, they mentally dismiss it as being something not relevant to them at the time. A lot of AI models have a huge amount of humans behind it right now that are educating the AI to be better at understanding what's being presented in front of it. There is a lot of doctors and finances and lawyers and so forth, and these are easier examples to explain with, that see what people are asking in the sense of legal insights or medical insights. And they're seeing what AI comes up as the response. And as a human, they're looking and going, no, that's not quite right. This is what is really better, or this should be different. And they're teaching the AI how to be better at giving answers. That's happening in all facets of AI use. Those are just easy examples to point out because it makes sense to see that if AI is giving you legal advice, that there's a human lawyer in the background that's getting paid by the AI company to review the AI answers to make sure that they're accurate and true and not made up and hallucinating and everything else like this. So that's happening in the travel space, that's happening in the discovery space, that's happening in all facets of how AI gets used. Is humans have been hired to help review the process. Matter of fact, Meta got in a huge problem with that because with their Meta glasses, when you ask their Meta glasses to describe what you're seeing and so forth, the glasses take a picture and so forth, and then it's being reviewed by a human. And what was coming through was a lot of pictures that shouldn't be seen by somebody else. And that was a privacy violation. And the EU got very upset about that and is chasing Meta down for the fact that that's happening. And all AI platforms have that same issue. Human review, and even though it states it in the terms and conditions, doesn't necessarily mean permission of use. So going back to what we we're bringing up about ads, ad diversification, ads and additional content in the context of what it is that you are presenting in them and the content that you are making available for the ads to go to that AI can use, so that now everything you're saying in your content can also be used from your ads to make it all sound even better. This is important because if you don't keep your content diversified, if you get very narrowcasted in what you are, who you are, where you are, what you're related to, what value proposition you are to relate to things, you're not going to get used by AI models to be part of the answer in somebody's discovery process or education process or decision process. In the show notes, we'll give you a lot of breakdowns as to the stepped process of this, but the diversification isn't just about the content of your ad in words. It's also the images you choose to use in your ads, the videos that you create in your ads. All of those things AI learns from: the tonality of your ad, the empathy of your ad, the emotion of your ad, the symbolism of your ad. All of these things are getting learned by AI to know how it needs to understand your product in context to what their users might need to know about your product. So ad diversification adds this. Now, you might say, well, that's going to burn a lot of money just to keep the ads floating out there when they're not producing at a level that they just should justify their function. It's very true. It doesn't change how you handle the ads, but the fact that the ads go out there, like we always say, the internet is permanent. Whatever's out on the internet will always be out in the internet. The same holds true with your ads and your content. Being out there means that it's queued somewhere, saved somewhere, used and engaged with for the time that it was there. Maybe not to the profitable that you wanted to, which is why they get maybe shelved later on, but that content still stays out there. It still gets discovered out there. It still gets used for being out there. And that diversification of ads allows you to do a very short-circuited, quick education process with long language models that helps faster than SEO does. And what I mean by that is long language models look for a very specific answer. SEO and search engines look for comprehensive understanding. I've given this example many times, but in quick order, that if you were looking for a pipe fitting and there was two stores side by side, Lowe's or a Home Depot, a very large big box hardware store, and then a very specific plumbing store to the other side. Your AI bot, your AI agent, a long language model goes and approaches the Lowe's and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a pipe fitting." And the agent goes into the store and has to find what row and what shelf the pipe fittings are on. Okay, there's a bunch of other stuff there. Okay, and then on the other side is the other store that goes right in and it says, "We have pipe fittings right here." And it finds what it needs and comes back out. You might have all the other plumbing stuff in there as well, but it just needed the pipe fitting information. A search engine, on the other hand, will go to the Lowe's or the big box hardware store, and although you look for pipe fittings in your search query, it has to index everything in the store, every shelf, every row, to know everything that's in that store, to know that you have pipe fittings. And if it hasn't done that yet, it may not know you have pipe fittings, and it may not even know to go in and find on what row and what shelf. Over here in the pipe fittings or in the plumbing store, it has to do the same thing. It has to know everything you have in it. Now, the benefit is the plumbing store would be able to be specific with its content, and it's a smaller database to crawl, but the symbolism is still the same. It has to know everything before it can find the something, where a long language model just simply has to look for the something. The rest of the stuff is not a part of what it's looking for at that time. It's only looking for what it needs to answer the query that it's been given. So in the world of you for content, if you don't have that content specific to what the long language model agent is looking for, it won't look for you. It won't find you. Okay. Now, long language models are based on the same discoverable process of what SEO has done. That's how they learned, was what SEO has already discovered. The thing with long language models is if it found a pipe fitting at your store, then the next user asking for pipe fittings, it already knows that you actually have that stuff, and it's going to be easier for them to show you compared to waiting for a discovery that there's another store that might also have pipe fittings that it should consider, that maybe even be better than yours, but because it doesn't know about it yet, it's not talking about it yet. That's the difference of what we're talking about long language models being able to discover your data and use it well. Well, in the SEO world, you put this content in your website and you ask the engines to crawl it and so forth, and they're usually pretty good about it, but there's a lag issue. Everybody knows SEO takes time to cultivate the value proposition. It doesn't happen like an ad. Ads, you go over and make them, give it money, turn it on, and it lights up and there's already traffic. SEO, you put it in, you optimize it, once you're finished with it, and optimizing being in the usage of the content, and then you schema it to make sure it's identified correctly for engines to understand it easier, and then you submit it So it will be crawled by the search engines to discover what you've added and changed to your website. And then the search engines have to index it, and then it has to get ranked and prioritized against everything else they know about other entities that are similar to you, that are a relationship to you, competitors to you, whatever. That's a process. Long language models are simply, I need pipe fittings. You said you had pipe fittings in this ad. I see that the ad points to the place that you have pipe fittings. I know you have pipe fittings. I'm putting it into the answer so I can give it to my user. It's a much more abbreviated process. For that reason, with the ads, the more diverse your ads are, the more you can fracture your content and diversify the content about what you're offering, the faster you can actually put more content in front of long language models that's usable. So the whole adage of ads run faster than SEO is the same true for the discoverability of long language models. Long language models will go over and say, oh, there's an ad that I remember seeing about that, and it clicks to the landing page that is what it is that says about it. I'm using that. And it got the information it needed to do the query response. So diversified ads go beyond just the wide net casting and the variations to the engagements that the targeting and the ad variations are going to create. You can also quickly seed good content that's usable by AI fast and easier than having to go through the sometimes more elongated SEO process. So that was our main point for today, was to talk about using diversified ad campaigns to train AI about your product. So as always, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you can catch us on the Hospitality Channel TV Chasing. If you have a smart TV, Apple, Google, Amazon, Apple, or Roku, Samsung, all just the Hospitality Channel, we're there. The show's always on the free side of the gateway, the pay gateway. There's a Apple iOS and Google Play app called Hospitality Channel. There's also Hospitality Channel Radio. There's also hospitalitychannel.tv, which is all of our we run Lucy shows and so forth. You can also begin to find us on Pluto, Fuse, Tubi. Our channel is also being broadcast on all of those as well. And you can go back. There's a linear channel, and there's also a on-demand channel. You can pull on demand of any of our shows. If you go to hospitalitychannel.tv, you can look up by broadcast date, host, or topic. And we're going to be introducing our own AI agent on it, on a platform that we talked about in the podcast many times called Icky, which we basically infused all of our live shows. We try to cycle them as being only the past 12 months because the older ones tend to lose lack of relevance, even though some are perennial. A lot of them are situational for the time that they were broadcasted in. So we're running 12 months, which is the same count we do in our book, Hospitality for Non-Hospitality Marketers and Hospitality Marketing 2026 edition. But all that content is now going to have a live interaction to it. So you can actually ask questions, and it'll pull from the data from the shows to answer the question that you have for it. I am playing with the audio with 11. I've sampled my audio. And so I might make it where I can give you an audio variation of answering the same question. So more fun things on that coming up as I travel. It doesn't look like I'm traveling right now. I have a very blank, typical single color behind me. But traveling overseas now in Europe and the Netherlands. So there'll be always a twist to our conversations as it relates to my experiences here in Europe at the same time as well. But this is pretty perennial everywhere. Ad diversification is valuable for everyone. Its value proposition is now more enhanced even with AI's usages of it. So keep all of that in mind. If you have any questions, feedback, anything that you'd like to share with me, please reach me at lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. I answer each and every email that I get from it. If you need an audio engagement with me, you can go to hdm.news/talkback. There is an audio component. I always ask a question every week, get a lot of feedback from people, ideas of topics like we just did. And also, if you're a hospitality marketing professional and want to join a peer level group, go to hospitalitymarketing.club. Put your email in. I send you a quick quiz to validate that you are indeed a hospitality marketer. And in which case, I'll send you an invite key, and then you can begin to choose which peer group you'd like to be affiliated and connected to, and how far down that rabbit hole you'd like to go, where we get a lot of our topics from as well, from there, from the conversations of everyone that's there. So with all of that, my name is Lauren Gray. I thank you for the privilege of your time and look forward to talking to you all next week.